morning. Welcome to the Marysville Tulalip Chamber of Commerce Business Before Hours meeting. Our program today, as you know, is our Candidates Forum. Thank you so much for making this a priority. It is so important that we understand the fact that Marysville and Tulalip residents and businesses can be directly affected by who is elected. So it's very important for us to ask the questions that directly affect us. So if you find that today, after all the questions are asked and the forum is over, you still have more, a lot of the candidates are going to be sticking around afterwards, so please feel free to come up to them and ask questions that are specific to your needs. Now, with your help, I'd like to introduce the Chamber Chairman of the Board, Dennis Naiva, and have him come up.
All right, I'm right behind you. There we go. Good to have everyone here this morning for the Greater Marysville Tulalip Chamber of Commerce, our Government Affairs Annual Candidate Forum. This is always very popular because we hear both sides of issues and why some people are running, what makes a difference for them, and so thank you for being here today. Today's forum will provide a revealing look at Position 2 and Position 3 for the Marysville City Council races, as well as the County Council District 1 candidates. So today, one of the highlights of our meeting is to have Lance Curry, who is one of our sponsors. He sponsors the table often. He's been with Edward Jones for over 12 years. He's a trusted financial advisor, and besides that, he's just a good friend. Lance, good to have you.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you very much. Good morning. How's everybody doing today? Good. I hope you've had a chance to get some good breakfast. And this morning, I'm going to speak on an Edward Jones formatted seminar or workshop. It's called The Rules of the Road. And normally it covers 10 just really foundational ways to make sure you've got financial goals and you're on the way to those. But I'm only going to talk about the first two today because that's all that Jessica would let me. So that's all I paid for, I guess. So if you want to know the other 8, you'll have to get with me afterward or sometime. I'd love to make an appointment with you. The other 8, by the way, are all the fun ones, so I'm going to cover the boring ones right now. Did I just ruin everything? Okay. Well, so I'm going to read. Sorry. Good morning. It's great to be here with you, and I'm proud to be a part of the stellar lineup of Edward Jones financial advisors here in Marysville. I became a financial advisor because I have a passion for investing and helping my clients achieve their financial goals. Today I'll share some principles of investing that can help you work toward your goals and avoid common investing mistakes. These 10 rules of the road are guidelines that I've learned as a financial advisor at Edward Jones. I've worked with clients and I've watched the financial marketplace. I've seen the value of these principles in achieving success and avoiding problems. Okay, the next slide, if there is one, is going to say the first rule, and that is develop your strategy. So, you know, when it comes down to doing anything, I just talked with someone that's going to Maui this next Monday. You know, you always develop a strategy, don't you? That's the first thing you do. And maybe you would even write that down. Successful investing requires deciding on what you are trying to achieve and outlining the steps to get there. It also requires discipline and a little patience. And that's why I recommend having a written investment strategy. Before a financial advisor can discuss investment strategy, he or she should get to know you and understand what's important that you want to accomplish, because your financial strategy should be based on you. And there's nothing more important than beginning with understanding what's important to you. Only then can a financial advisor build a personalized strategy with specific actions to achieve your goals. So, as far as your strategy goes, it should be based on 4 questions and be specific in how you answer these. Number 1, what am I trying to accomplish? Number 2, what is the length of time to invest? Number 3, what is my risk tolerance? Or what's my realistic comfort level with risk? And number 4, what are my steps to get there? Sounds pretty basic and pretty simple, but you probably have several different long-term financial goals. They can include providing for retirement or providing for college expenses for a child or grandchild. They can also be providing for the unexpected, something that would upset the financial plan, and where did that come from? and many others. And that's why it's so important to work with a financial advisor to help outline and prioritize these goals. Okay, your written strategy can serve as a guide during uncomfortable periods of market ups and downs. Boy, we sure have not had an uncomfortable period in a while. That might be kind of a little red light for some of you, if you know what I mean. Who knows when it's coming, and I hope that you're ready. If you don't feel like you're ready, if you're not one of the many masses who are lulled to sleep by good statements month after month, come and see me, and we can talk about the risk that you might actually be exposed to. So, now that we've discussed strategy, let's turn to the second rule. Next slide, if there is one. It's called understanding risk and investing that exists. In fact, don't raise your hand, but have you ever experienced risk while investing? You've likely heard the term risk versus reward. Risk and return generally go hand in hand. The higher the return you're after, the more risk you're going to have to accept. When it comes to investing, it's critical to understand risk because risk can make you lose sight of what's important. And so I would encourage you to, like I said, get an appointment with me. We can look at your own portfolio and decide if something might come along and derail your own goals. There's several types of investment risk. I mean, lots. There's political risk, there's interest rate risk, there's market risk, which we all associate with investment risk. However, most investors think of risk in investing as just the potential for declines, but risk means far more than just the potential for fluctuations in value, okay? For example, a portfolio that's all in cash will have little, if any, change in value over time. That leaves you completely exposed to the idea that inflation's coming along and it's going to take away your buying power with that cash. You might not keep up with inflation, in other words. The key is ensuring you have the appropriate amount of risk, not too much, not too little, to achieve your financial goals. Okay, so to determine what makes sense for you, we focus on three main components of risk. How will you react to market ups and downs? How much risk are you emotionally prepared to accept? And how much risk do you need to take in order to achieve your financial goals? That's not my slide, but it was cool. Work with your financial advisor to build a portfolio that balances your comfort level with ups and downs of the market and the risk necessary to achieve your financial goals. Another important aspect of this strategy is determining ways to protect against unexpected events that could get you off track. Remember, what's the biggest financial risk that you take? It's not achieving your financial goals. I like to say, though, the biggest financial risk is the eyeballs that you see in the mirror, oftentimes. I'm sorry we have no more time this morning to get into the good stuff. I wrote that down. But I am required to scroll through all the slides, and if you want to, hopefully every table has a little rules of the road handout. I would encourage you to scroll through all those slides. At the very end is the fine print that all our lawyers wanted you to just really pay attention to, I guess. These rules of the road are all vitally important to your success. I hope you've learned one thing, or at least hope I've helped you realize you've got some questions about that, and maybe I can help you with that. Please don't hesitate to make an appointment with me today. The success of your financial goals is my job. Thank you very much, and we'll turn it back to Dennis. Is that my horn?
Okay. Serving as today's moderator for our debate and forum is Al Aldrich. And Al Aldrich is the Senior Vice President for Strategies 360. He's also a former chairman of the board for our chamber, so he's familiar to all of us. He works hard for us so that we can keep abreast of what's happening in Olympia and how that affects us. And so please join me in welcoming Al Aldrich to the stage.
Thank you, Chairman Dennis, and good morning to all of you. Thanks for showing up today. This is an important part of democracy in our county, our state, our world, so thanks for participating. Today we have candidates for 2 of the Marysville City Council races and for 1 of the County Council races, the district that covers Marysville and surrounding areas. In each race, we will begin with a 2-minute opening statement by each candidate. To maintain the Chamber's reputation of impartiality, the candidate to speak first for each race was chosen by coin flip prior to the start of today's meeting. Following opening statements, our candidates will be asked a series of questions developed by the Chamber's Government Affairs Committee. Alternating first response positions, each candidate will be given a 2-minute response period to the question posed. Questions from all of the areas developed by our Government Affairs Committee will be asked to the City Council position candidates for position 2 and 3. A similar format will be used with our County Council candidates after we go through the City Council candidates. In the second segment, the candidates will pose their own question to their opponent. In this segment, each candidate will have 1 minute to pose a question, and their challenger will have 1 minute to respond. In terms of timing, helping our panelists track their response times is Chamber Emissary Lance Curry of Edward Jones, who you heard from just previously. Lance will signal when candidates have reached the 1 minute and 30 seconds period. Got a couple of signs there. And then when their time is up, stop sign. And if you fail to stop, you'll hear this gentle notification that your time really is up and over. You don't want to hear that sound. A reminder for all of us and folks who are viewing this later in the month, today's forum will air on Comcast Channel 21 and Verizon Channel 25 3 times a day beginning October 6th through November 6th. I learned yesterday that ballots will drop on about October 15th, so you'll have a couple of weeks to return your ballots, and hopefully today's forum will help inform you regarding the races that we're covering today. At this time, please allow me to introduce the following candidates for the Marysville City Council positions 2 and 3, as well as County Council District number 1. From my right, your left, Donna Wright, who is the incumbent for position 2. Mark James, who is the challenger for position number 2. Mark. Jeff Seibert, who is the incumbent, position number 3. Tom King, who is the challenger for position number 3. And on my left, or your right, Nate Naring is the incumbent for Snohomish County Council position number 1. And Ray Miller is the challenger for position number 1. Nate is a Republican and Ray is a Democrat. City Council positions are nonpartisan. Okay, with that, let's go to opening statements. Donna, you get to go first. 2 minutes.
Is this on?
There you go.
It's on now. There we are. Good morning, and thank you all for being here. I'm Donna Wright, and it has been my pleasure and honor to serve as your city council member for 6 terms. One of those terms I served as the mayor pro tem. Our city elected officials and staff have done a great job in financial management and increased staffing to make our city solvent and provide the necessary services for our city to meet our population growth. And I'm proud to say that I'm a member of that team. My personal experience as a successful business owner and elected official qualifies me to represent the citizens of Marysville. My experience in leadership positions in civic community and my church organizations include past president of the Sept, past chair of the Marysville High School Vocational Education General Advisory Council, and past chair of the Snohomish Health District Board. I've served on most of our committees at our city, committees at the Association of Washington Cities, and the National League of Cities. My community connections and interaction with elected officials with other cities and give me valuable collaborations. I've attended the White House Conference on Small Business for twice, once as a delegate, another time as an alternate, sponsored by our congressman. I'm endorsed by the Realtor Association, where I'm a past president, the Affordable Housing Council of the Master Builders, the Marysville Globe, city and local officials, the Republican Central Committee. So I ask for your vote if you live in Marysville. If you don't, I ask for your help. Thank you.
Thanks, Donna. Mark, your turn, 2 minutes.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Mark James. My wife and I are longtime local business owners, just like many of you. I'm a member of the Marysville Sunrise Rotary, an active church leader, volunteer for the Cold Weather Shelter, the Salvation Army, and the Citizens Emergency Response Team. Also, I was a citizen committee member for the recently successful Yes EMS levy. My purpose for running is to bring a fresh new perspective and a new energy to our Marysville City Council. To get the flavor of how I operate, you just need to take a look at how I've taken on the task of preparing myself for this position. I've attended nearly every city council meeting for the past 16 months. I've met one-on-one with each city department head, the administrator, and the mayor. I've met individually with most of the existing council members and have met with and been on ride-alongs with both the fire and the police departments. I did all of this so that I could have a better understanding of how our city works, who its leaders are, and how I might be able to work with them to effect real change. When elected, I will promote policies that will keep our city safe, clean, and vibrant, including issues faced by today's fire, EMS, and police services. I'm also eager to find solutions to the ongoing issues of transportation, parks improvements, the local opioid epidemic, and homelessness. As a successful business owner, I understand the importance of a thriving local economy. Since it is my business to interact with local business owners, I am uniquely qualified among the existing council members in that I bring a unique and active local business perspective. I'm a man of faith, a husband, a father, a veteran, and an involved community leader. I'm endorsed by Marysville firefighters and the Everett Herald editorial board. I would be honored to have your vote.
Thanks, Mark. We now turn to Jeff Seibert for opening statements. Jeff?
Good morning, Marysville. I would like to thank the Chamber and their sponsors for putting on this forum, the audience for attending, and you, the viewers, for watching. The 16 years I've served on the Marysville City Council has been a privilege. Thank you. I'm asking that you allow me the honor of serving another term as your representative. The first priority of government is public safety. I have and will continue to fully support the fire district and police department. I've lived in the Marysville area since 1987. My wife and I have raised 2 daughters, both of whom graduated from Marysville Pilchuck High School. I am employed as an electrician and have been a member of IBEW Local 191 for 29 years. I have consistently voted against raising property taxes. I was involved in an economic development strategy that has brought more retail business to Marysville. The revenue has provided funding for traffic improvements projects, as well as added bike lanes and walking trails. I believe my experience working with the mayor and other council members will help me continue to improve the quality of life for the residents of our community. I am proud of working with other city council members to establish a fiscally responsible policy that provided for improvements in our community without raising property taxes. We've added over 90 acres of parks, including EB Waterfront Park, Marysville Skate Park, Strawberry Fields, and Strawberry Fields for Rover. Transportation improvements since 2002 included 116th Street from I-5 to State Avenue from EB Slough to Grove, to Grove Street, State Avenue from 116th Street to 136th Street, State Avenue from 136th Street to 152nd Street, Ingraham Boulevard, the 51st Avenue connection between 84th and 88th Streets, the I-5 overpass at 156th Street, and EB Slough Bridge. I've been a member of the Public Works Committee for 16 years, 14 years as a chairperson, the Finance Committee for 14 years, 12 years as a chairperson, and the Snohomish County Solid Waste Committee for 14 years, the Public Safety Committee for 6 years, and the Economic Development Committee for 6 years.
Thanks, Jeff. Tom, your turn for opening statement.
My name is Tom King, and I'm running for Marysville City Council Position 3. I am retired, and my late wife, Stacy, and I raised 3 children in the Marysville community. I am a past Marysville volunteer fireman and Marysville School Board member. I am currently a Marysville Food Bank volunteer, Marysville Strawberry Festival volunteer, and Marysville Kiwanis Club president. I also serve on the Marysville Parks, Culture, and Recreation Board and Left Board. I am proud to say I've been endorsed by the Marysville Firefighters and the Marysville Police Officers Association. I am committed to public safety in our community. This past spring, I attended the Marysville Police Citizens Academy. I have also been attending the Fire Commissioner meetings and planning meetings for proposed regional fire authority. I'm also committed to maintaining affordable utility rates for our citizens. As a member of our Parks Advisory Board, I have supported the construction of our EB Waterfront Trail and completion of our EB Waterfront Park. As a past member of the Snohomish County Parks Board, I supported the construction of the Centennial Trail and look forward to the connection to our own Bayview Trail. I support ongoing transportation projects such as the First Street bypass and the rebuilding of State Avenue between 100th Street and 116th Street. A dream of mine is to see Asbury Field refurbished into a first-class athletic and events facility. Perhaps the city could partner with the school district and upgrade the field, restrooms, lighting, and parking. Besides athletic events, it is used for Strawberry Festival events, Touch a Truck, and Poochapalooza, just to name a few. Having grown up in Marysville and my family having lived here for several generations, we have always supported our local businesses, and my family has been business owners in the past. I recently met with the Marysville Downtown Merchants Association to listen to their thoughts and concerns, and I regularly attend the Marysville Tulalip Chamber meetings on behalf of the Marysville Kiwanis Club. I feel that I am qualified and will serve our community well on our city council. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. We'll now turn to questions prepared by the Chamber's Government Affairs Committee. Mark, just a heads up, you'll be the first one to answer this first question. So the topic is the opioid epidemic that affects our community in so many ways. Over the next 4 years, if elected, what additional strategies or efforts or solutions would you advocate for and vote to fund? Mark, you go first. 2 minutes.
Thank you, Al. I'll start by asking a few questions myself, and I've been asking, you probably all have these questions. Why are there so many people on heroin? How many people are actually dying from drug overdoses? What resources do we have to help these people? And what progress is being made, and how can we help? Some statistics. Purdue Pharmaceuticals lied and claimed that opioid addiction occurred in less than 1% of the patients. We know now that's absolutely not true. 75% of addicts started out on a valid prescription pain medication. 90 days of prescription opioid use equals a 90% addiction rate. More than 64,000 drug overdose deaths estimated in 2016, the sharpest increase occurring among deaths related to fentanyl and synthetic opioids, with over 20,000 overdose deaths. Sadly, overdoses are now the leading cause of death in Americans under the age of 50. There is some progress being made. CVS pharmacies will limit the opioid prescriptions to 7 days. Doctors are being educated, public's getting educated. Recovery and rehab treatment is improving. What else can we do here in Marysville? We can realize that city government can only be just a part of the solution. We need healthy families. We need faith-based support and increased professional services. We appreciate what Washington State is doing, and Everett and other cities taking on the pharmaceutical companies in court. We need to educate ourselves and our children. We need to get involved and start safely and intelligently caring for these people. Marysville can partner with treatment facilities and embed social workers with the police. We can promote social connectedness. This will help in prevention and prevent relapse. We need to help these people find their dignity, access to work and housing, like programs like Housing Hope is a good example of this. There's a warning with that. Giving an addict a home without responsibility or accountability is simply enabling them to relapse. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Jeff, same question to you. Over the next 4 years, if elected, what additional strategies or efforts or solutions would you advocate for and vote to fund regarding the opioid epidemic?
So recently we had a presentation by the health district, and they had some good numbers that they had tracked, and they're working to make that a online informational center so that they can track it day to day instead of just having to get it over months from the police officers and the hospitals and that. And so I would work with them and help fund them, and also see what other things that they could do to provide treatment, and as Mark said, try to embed a social service worker with the police when we do homeless camp sweeps. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom, same question to you.
Thank you. Unfortunately, as a volunteer at the Marysville Food Bank, I see some of the results of the homelessness and addiction issues. We see it every day down there. I feel we need to support our law enforcement in dealing with the criminal element, and as a society, we need to focus our attention, including funding, to help those in need of counseling and rehabilitation. I am a supporter of what I call preventive maintenance, and that includes our parks and recreation programs, YMCA, food bank, service clubs, church programs, and community services aimed towards our youth. These after-school, summer, and weekend programs and services give our youth that extra chance in succeeding in life. Over the years, I have been involved in seeing firsthand the success of this in our community.
Thank you. Donna, it's your turn now to answer the question about the opioid epidemic.
Thank you. Serving on our Snohomish Health District, I chair the program policy, and this is one of our top subjects. Opioid is an epidemic, as you've heard from our other speakers. It is rampant. From our youngest, we have children, and I get emotional about it, elementary school that are involved in this, and to our seniors. And some of it is overprescribing by physicians. Some of it is with our elderly. It is just that they forget how many pills that they've taken, and so safe storage in that area. So this is a huge problem. Sheriff Troy Tenery, along with our health department and the drug task force of Snohomish County, making this their top priority. Marysville, we have officers that are involved with the drug task force. What can we do here in Marysville? The first thing that I want to propose is not a ban on safe injection sites. I applaud the county council for their courage and leadership in that, and that is an area that I don't want in our city, and so that is something I would propose is ban on the safe injection sites.
Okay, thank you. Turn to question number 2 now. Jeff, you'll be the first to respond on this particular question. And this has to do with top city issues. So besides opioids, which we've just discussed, traffic and railroad crossings, what do you see as the top issues facing the city, and how would you address them if elected? Jeff, first response to you.
So one of the major issues is our jail is starting to reach capacity, and so we're looking at having a new facility built. And so that's going to be a top thing that we're going to try to work through. The RFA that's going on, the proposed RFA, is a top issue. Traffic, like you said, is always a thing. Economic development, we've done a lot in that respect. We've got 2 new hotels being built, another one is planned, and several retail stores have opened in the last 16 years. So those are some of our top issues. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Tom, your turn to respond. Besides opioids, traffic, and railroad crossings, what do you see as the top issues facing the city, and how would you address them if elected?
As I stated earlier, I've been attending the fire commissioner meetings and the meetings discussing a proposed regional fire authority, otherwise known as an RFA. Years ago, I, of course, witnessed this firsthand as a volunteer fireman in Marysville, but it's changed a lot in the last 40 years. But I'm in favor of it. I think it'd be beneficial for us, Marysville, Arlington, and District 12 to combine our resources, our manpower, our equipment into one regional fire authority, and that's one thing I propose and that I would be in favor of. Thank you.
Thank you. Donna, same question to you.
Okay. Thank you. Well, we have many issues, but I think we're striving to meet those. You mentioned the train. I just got stuck behind the train on the other side of 88th, so I was a little bit late here, so I understand that. But so traffic congestion is an issue, but as soon you'll be seeing the off of I-5, where you'll be able to exit there down onto the High 529, the new bridge. To me, it's a new bridge, even though it's a little bit old now, onto State Avenue. But I think our so the traffic is we're doing pretty good, actually. So as far as a lot of issues, I think that our taxation, We are solvent and we have a reserve, but we always, there's issues that are coming up. The public safety building, that is old, and it's something that we have to address. So that probably will be one of our main issues that we'll be looking at, is how we pay for that without taxing our citizens and having a facility that we can be proud of in our city.
Thank you. Mark, your turn to respond, up to 2 minutes.
Thank you. Some of the top issues that I've noticed are these. Public safety issues, our fire, EMS, and police, they need more staffing, updated equipment, and facilities. Traffic, our 6-year transportation improvement plan is good, but will most likely need to be modified periodically as we grow and discover new solutions. The opioid issue, as we've talked about, we need to be a part of the solution if we're ever going to see this societal problem cleared up. Homelessness, there's adult homelessness, family homelessness, child homelessness. Did you know that there are 160 registered homeless school-age children in the Marysville School District? Our parks. Marysville has great parks and trail system. But during this past year, we heard complaints and saw many of our parks unkempt and overgrown. We need to take care of our parks all of the time. Of all of these issues, the one that I'm most concerned with is the public safety issue. Our fire, EMS services, and police all need more staff, updated equipment, and updated facilities to keep up with the population growth. The police need a modern, larger jail with an integrated court to be able to keep pace with the population growth. Our fire and EMS services need the city to continue to work toward establishing a regional fire authority, an RFA, in order to ensure the future safety of our citizens and the safety of our fire and EMS personnel as well. Some of the catch-all solutions that might go a long way toward helping many of these issues are a healthy economic outlook, wise budgeting, community involvement like volunteerism, faith-based support, and community-sponsored programs. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Turn now to question number 3. Tom, you'll be first to respond. As we drive through the core downtown business area, it's obvious that there are a number of vacant buildings. What ideas do you have to improve the quality of life in Marysville, specifically related to bringing in new business? Tom?
Well, I think we've made a lot of strides. If you drive downtown, look at 3rd Street, look at the improvements that the city did between 47th Avenue and State Avenue with the landscaping and the storm detention. We've made a lot of positive impacts. We have some more inroads to make. Again, I go back to Asbury Field. I see Asbury Field as the core of our downtown, and to me, there's so much potential there. I see potential up the Marysville Town Center Mall. I realize it's privately owned, but I think there could be some improvements done to that part of our downtown shopping center. But personally, I've seen a lot of great gains. Living here for 64 years, we've come a long ways, and again, I applaud our city council, our parks department, and all those involved in that. Thank you.
Thanks. Donna, you'll be next to respond to the question about, as we drive through the core downtown business area, it's obvious there are a number of vacant buildings. What ideas do you have to improve the quality of life in Marysville, and specifically related to bringing in new business?
Thank you. And I think our city is business friendly. You talk to people that have tried to establish businesses in other cities, and they choose Marysville for our quality of life. The responsive by our city staff, our community development, how they want to work with people, with new businesses to bring them here, and how they can help them either with zoning or the permit process is good. Our taxation, we do not have a B&O tax, and that is one area that I would work to keep, that we do not impose a B&O tax that many cities around us, because that is another strain. We pay B&O tax to the state. The city, we could use it probably, but that is not an area. Taxing business does not help. My question specifically was these empty ones. We are filling them. There, as you'll notice, the rents are, the demand is there, and so we will be filling those with appropriate businesses. But another one is we had people again before the council on allowing retail marijuana. That is, I guess, a controversial thing. We have banned that, but that is one of the areas that I would be opposed to allowing that businesses in there. But I believe that we are business friendly. We encourage the businesses that we have. We want to keep the ones that we have and help them to increase.
Thank you. Mark, your turn to respond to that question.
First off, I just need to say that I love our city and I love the local businesses that are here. Some of the owners live here, some don't. But regardless, they all have a vested interest in Marysville. Businesses need people, and it helps to have the right people, those that are committed and happy to support local businesses with their time and money. In order for that to happen, we need to attract and keep those people. To do that, our city council needs to make healthy economic decisions so that Marysville will be an attractive option for people and businesses choosing to move here. Some ways that we can be attractive: our waterfront park development plan. This is our city's front door image. We need to promote Marysville as a vibrant, healthy community, and to do that, we need to look the part. Our 6-year transportation improvement plan is good, but will most likely need to be modified periodically as we grow and discover new solutions. We need to continually improve our business startup processes. Actually, right now, we are perceived as business unfriendly city. One local businessman recently told me the process is broken and that it's very difficult and time consuming for him to set up business here. He's considering expanding in a neighboring city, but because of these issues, they are real. People move to Marysville because it's convenient and more affordable to live here than it is down south. But to keep them and their dollars here, we will need more than bowling and indoor trampoline park for entertainment. We need more good upscale restaurant choices and fun, family-friendly places to eat. We need to continue supporting the new manufacturing industrial center to the north with Arlington. This will bring in family wage jobs and help Marysville become more than just a bedroom community. And finally, a bedrock of any healthy, vibrant, and growing community is public safety services. Let's get the new Justice Center that includes a larger jail and an integrated court. Let's get the RFA passed when it's on the ballot. We must take care of our fire, EMS, and police. They take care of us when we need it the most. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeff, your turn to respond to that question.
Yeah, several years ago, we streamlined the development permit process. Recently, we added a person at the counter that if you have a small job that needs to be done, you can get the permit right then without having to have a review. He'll help work you through that. We're working to develop the waterfront area, not just the park, but bring in a private developer to do proposals on what they'd like to see there. We would like to see some mixed-use centers there. We've done improvements to State Avenue over the years, so a lot of the stuff that needs to happen to keep businesses here. Tom mentioned 3rd Street. That's another deal. If we locate the safety center somewhere towards downtown, that would also help to bring more people downtown and stimulate that area. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We now turn to the part where candidates get to each get to ask their opponent a question. Candidates will have 1 minute to pose the question, and the responders will have 1 minute to answer the question. Donna, you get to ask a question first of Mark.
Thank you. With the city finances healthy, our park, recreation, and cultural programs flourishing, our plans to solve traffic congestion in place, shopping opportunities increasing, and looking to bring family wage jobs to the area, Mark, what changes do you plan to make?
Thank you, Donna. That's a good question. What I would do initially, if elected, would be to seek out the people that know these areas, the professionals in the individual areas that you mentioned, and partner with them, create partnerships to be able to solve some of the issues that we've discussed earlier. Marysville is doing great. We love our community, but like any growing city, we're going to have problems, and as they arise, I just want to make sure that I've got the A-team surrounding me to be able to address those issues and be able to move forward with a healthy, vibrant, growing community. Thank you.
Okay. Mark, your turn to ask Donna a question.
So Donna, thank you for your service to our city. You have faithfully served on council for many years and seen and been a part of many changes during that time. You've also gotten to know me just a bit over the past year and a half, and I would like to know what you feel would be my strongest quality or asset if I am elected as a new council member.
Okay, Mark, thank you. And it's true, you have been at all of our council meetings and have listened carefully. So I think you are a good listener. However, you've never spoken in front of our council and asked the questions. But I do think that you are interested in many of the things that I have put forth and supported. So I think those would be carried on. I do appreciate your volunteering and being involved and your compassion for the people, because you've been there, like you had mentioned, the homeless shelter and many of the other things. So you are a good citizen of Marysville.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Jeff, your turn to ask a question of Tom.
Tom, we have a transportation improvement plan. Could you explain what that is and what the reason that's so important to the city?
Well, thank you. Actually, I worked for the city of Marysville for 16 years in traffic signal and street lighting maintenance, so I was involved in a lot of these projects and a lot of the maintenance of this. I know we have a 6-year transportation improvement plan that we review every few years. The voters approved a TBD, or a transportation benefit district, and as you know, there's a lot of overlay asphalt replacement projects going on right now, and I believe that was a 10-year plan, and I think that's money well spent. Of course, we have a lot of room for improvement. For example, 88th Street, at some point, that's going to need to be widened, whether it's a center left turn lane, a westbound right turn lane. At Grove, in the future, we should probably look at it either an underpass or an overpass at the railroad tracks, mainly for emergency vehicles. Thank you.
Okay, and Tom, your turn now to ask a question of Jeff.
Okay, well, I'd like to take an opportunity to thank Councilman Seibert for his many years of service on our city council, as well as our existing city council. I appreciate that. Councilman Seibert, do you favor a regional fire authority, and if created, how would the authority be governed?
So I spent 2 hours last night, Tom, you were there, at a meeting about that, and at this point, I'm unsure of how the outcome will be. There's a lot of complicated issues that need to be resolved before that. As far as governance, that was our topic last night also. I will not support anything that does not favor the city council, the Marysville city representation on the board. We're providing the biggest assets to the RFA, so I think that our citizens should have the most say in that. I'm also against having districts, because I think the city council members have a bigger view of how the fire authority affects the rest of the taxing district. So I would only support if they were city council members on the board. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, city council candidates. I would invite you to stay up here while we now turn to county council, the race
Al,
for...
could I make just a comment about Lance's socks? If he could, at some
They're pretty
point,
distracting, aren't they?
show him.
I can't see it.
Yeah, for a personal view, after we're done, Lance will be around. Your patriotism is abounding today, Lance, I will say that. All right. We will now turn to the county council race for position number 1, opening statements, and we'll start with Nate Naring.
Well, good morning, and thank you all so much for being here. I want to thank the Marysville Tulalip Chamber for hosting this event. I want to thank our moderator, and certainly want to thank Ray for his participation. My name is Nate Nearing. I'm your current representative on the Snohomish County Council. Before serving on the council, I taught science at Cedar Crest Middle School here in Marysville, and I also served as the vice chair of the Planning Commission in Stanwood, where my wife and I live. Since joining the council, I've been working hard on the heroin and opioid epidemic. Just this week, I proposed legislation to ban safe injection sites in Snohomish County. That proposal passed on a unanimous 5-0 vote at the council. I've also been working with our churches on housing for the homeless. I've been working with our law enforcement on a law enforcement embedded social worker for the Smoky Point area, where we've got huge issues with drug abuse. And so I've worked to try to include that in the county's 2018 budget. I've also prioritized jobs in our area through the Arlington-Marysville Manufacturing Industrial Center. In my role as vice chair of Snohomish County Tomorrow, I've been advocating on behalf of that center. I've demonstrated fiscal responsibility. For example, my vote on the county courthouse renovation, rather than building a brand new courthouse, saved about $150 million in your taxpayer dollars. My work so far on the county council has earned me bipartisan endorsements from over 100 local leaders from both parties. I've been very humbled to have received that support, and that includes Republicans like Dino Rossi and both of my predecessors, John Koster and Ken Klein, as well as Democrats like former Snohomish County Executive Bob Jewell and our current County Sheriff Ty Trineri. Organizations which have endorsed me include the Everett Herald, the Snohomish County Deputy Sheriff's Association, the Washington State Farm Bureau, among others. It's a tremendous honor to serve as your Snohomish County Councilman, and I'm looking forward to a great discussion this morning on the issues facing Snohomish County. Thank you.
Thank you. We now turn to opening statement from Ray Miller.
Thank you, Nate. Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Chamber, for hosting this forum today. I also want to thank my wife, Jennifer, for being here with me this morning and for her continued support and love. I am U.S. Air Force veteran Ray Miller, and your vice chair of the Snohomish County Human Rights Commission and candidate for the Snohomish County Council District 1, the best choice for Snohomish County. As I'm sure you know, Snohomish County is one of the fastest growing counties in the United States, and we must plan for a future that includes housing, economic development in North and East Snohomish County, at the same time as we protect the rich environment and agricultural resources that are a critical part of the character of Snohomish County. Service is part and parcel of who I am as a person. That is why I left a good-paying job at the Boeing Aircraft Company, building the very first 747s, and joined the United States Air Force because of my peers and friends who served in Vietnam, and some of them were dying, and I had to do my part to protect our country. It is why I returned home and saw many of my fellow veterans suffering from post-traumatic stress and drug and alcohol addiction, and that is why I became a certified drug and alcohol counselor and a clinical therapist. Why I've worked with homeless individuals to get them off the street and into stable environments. Why I've served on the Snohomish County Charter Review Commission. It is why Governor Inslee appointed me to the Washington State Salary Commission. It is why Washington State Attorney General Bob Ferguson nominated me to be the Lincoln Honors Award of Veteran of the Year. It is why Snohomish County Executive Dave Summers nominated me to be on the Snohomish County Human Rights Commission and endorsed my election to the Snohomish County Council. It is why last week I was in Washington, D.C., meeting with the Chief of Staff of the Veterans Affairs Committee, and it is why you should vote for me. My name is Raymond Miller. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now turn to the questions from the Chamber's Government Affairs Committee. Ray, you'll be the first to respond to this first question. Again, it deals with the countywide opioid epidemic because it touches the community in so many ways. Over the next 4 years, if elected, what additional strategies or efforts or solutions would you advocate for and vote to fund?
One of the things that I work on, as most of you have heard, is that I am a clinical therapist. I have worked with many people. First of all, I want to tell you a story about a young man named Justin, a U.S. Air Force veteran who I met while he was sleeping, homeless, sleeping in a doorway of an abandoned store. Today, Justin is the father of a 5-year-old son and just had a brand new baby girl. His wife just graduated with a master's degree in accounting, and he just completed his BA in education and is doing an internship to become a teacher. That is homeless. And he also owns his own home. My plan is psychotherapy, psychoeducational counseling that we explain to the community what the signs and symptoms of drug and alcohol addiction is, and that we make sure that we do it. Also, drug and alcohol addiction is just the symptoms. The real problem is pain and suffering, whether it be mental health pain, whether it be physical pain or emotional pain. The symptoms of drug and alcohol use are just the symptom signs, so we need to reach down to the root cause of that, and I will be working to make sure that we complete programs that get to the root cause of that problem, that we educate families on the signs and symptoms of when they see their loved ones suffering from addiction and chemical abuse, that they understand what those signs and symptoms is, and we know that when we get early treatment, we get better outcomes. So I'm going to go do and make sure that we have the systems in place, like treatment centers, to help those folks. And the more we have drug and alcohol addiction, the more we're going to have homelessness. So eliminating that cause, ending the pain and suffering of those individuals who take to drug and alcohol use is the real core, and that's what I'll be working for.
Thank you. Nate, same question to you. Over the next 4 years, if elected, what additional strategies or efforts or solutions would you advocate for and vote to fund?
Yeah, great question. So in meeting with stakeholders on this issue, we've identified 3 approaches which are truly necessary in order to really tackle the issue of heroin and opioid abuse. The first is prevention, the second is treatment, and the third is law enforcement. So when we're talking about prevention, we're looking at getting into our schools and working with our youth on preventative efforts to try to get to those folks before they go into the downward spiral of addiction. I think that's by far the most cost-effective method. The next is treatment, working with individuals who are already addicted, but who truly want to get their lives turned around, and reaching out to them, connecting them with existing services, and then looking to expand treatment options for those folks. And then finally, law enforcement is that third part, and I think that has to be a component of it. I would say that treatment should definitely be the top priority, but the fact of the matter is, and the reality is, you have a large proportion of folks who are absolutely unwilling to take on any sort of treatment or try to get their lives turned around. There are people who are just intent on shooting up heroin and on committing property crimes to feed their addiction, and so I think you have to have a law enforcement component in order to deal with those. One of the things I've been really excited about and I've been advocating for in the county's 2018 budget is the Law Enforcement Embedded Social Worker Program. What this does is it combines law enforcement officers with human services social workers, and this group goes into homeless encampments, and you have the social workers developing relationships with these folks, trying to get them into treatment and connect them with services, and then you've got the law enforcement side for others who are causing trouble. So I was very excited to see that Executive Summers did include that in his proposed 2018 budget. That would be in the Smoky Point area where we're seeing huge issues with homelessness and drug abuse, and I think that would be great for our county. And then I would just add again, I did propose legislation to ban safe injection sites in Snohomish County. That passed this week on a unanimous 5-0 vote. I think that's a great step forward for us as a county in tackling the heroin opioid epidemic. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Turning to the second question, and Nate, you'll be the first to respond this time. Besides opioids, what do you see as the top issues facing the county, and how would you address them if elected?
Great question. So my top 3 issues are the heroin opioid epidemic, jobs, and the county budget. And we touched on the last question about heroin and opioids, and so I'll focus on jobs and the budget. We've got a fantastic opportunity here in Marysville and in the Arlington area with the Arlington-Marysville Manufacturing Industrial Center. The cities of Arlington and Marysville were 2 of 4 cities selected by the state legislature to be able to provide tax incentives for businesses who locate within the center if they create at least 25 jobs and if they pay at least $18 an hour. And so it's a great way to attract local family wage jobs to the area, and the cities have done a great job of putting the infrastructure in place in order to attract those businesses and create those jobs. So for example, you might have read in the Herald last week about Comcast high-speed internet coming up to the area. We've got the 156th Street overpass with the fully funded interchange in 2025. 2 regional stormwater retention ponds, a PUD substation, air access, rail access, I-5 access, a planned bus rapid transit line. And actually the Arlington-Marysville MIC was a candidate, or is a candidate I should say, for Amazon headquarters too. So I'm not sure what the chances are of that, but it's certainly exciting to see this Arlington-Marysville Manufacturing and Industrial Center making waves on a regional level, and I think it's a great opportunity for our area. And then I'll close by touching on the budget. Snohomish County has an $880 million budget. Of that $880 million, we've got an operating fund or a general fund of $240 million. I'm committed to ensuring fiscal responsibility in the county's 2018 budget. My top priority is public safety, and as I mentioned earlier, I've been advocating for that law enforcement embedded social worker program for the Smoky Point area in order to combat our heroin and opioid epidemic. Thanks.
Thank you. Ray, same question. Besides opioids, what do you see as the top issues facing the county, and how would you address them if elected?
Similar to my friend Nate, I see jobs and growth, economic growth, as our key issues. As I said earlier, we are one of the fastest growing counties in America. 190,000 people leave Snohomish County every morning, every day, going to work outside of Snohomish County. So we need to make sure that we vision ways, and the Mix Center is one of the best things that we have going for us right now. We've got about 1,175 acres that have been set aside for economic development, so we need to make sure that we do that, and we have incentive programs in place so that we can attract business to here. We, as I said, Amazon is thinking about putting a delivery center here in Marysville, as well as the second headquarters could be a good spot for it. But we need to make sure that we have incentive programs so that businesses can be attracted to this area. This is, without a doubt, one of the best places to live, work, and play. Also, as we talk about business growth, I am the only candidate in the race who has started their own business, who have managed employees, who have made payroll, and who have paid payroll tax. I'm the only candidate in the race who has actually helped individuals break that cycle of drug and alcohol addiction and turn them into tax-paying citizens who have tax-paying jobs, who own homes, who have recovered their lives. So that is the thing that we're doing. We love the fact that the embedded social workers program is with the county sheriff department, is doing a wonderful job of doing that. But I am the only person who actually been out in the street and help people recover from homelessness. So those are my really good things that we can make this county better again, make this county great, is to continue doing those things, but we need people with experience. It's okay to talk about all the programs that we had helped to develop over the years, but that makes somebody, that we have somebody with the actual experience and background of doing them. Thank you.
Thank you. Turn to our third question now, which has to do with county budget. Ray, you'll be the first to respond. If the county had a sudden revenue shortfall for whatever reason, and let's just say in the range of $5 million, how would you approach that? Would you reduce services, and which ones? Or would you raise revenue, and what revenue sources? Ray goes first.
All right. One of the things that I'm really concerned with right now, me personally, is that 75% of our budget goes to our criminal justice program. And I would like to see that reduced. I'm not opposed to criminal justice, but I would always first to, I think if we eliminate the criminal justice component and the need, if we get people to stop using drugs and alcohol and committing crimes, we can do that. And I think that the best thing to do with that is to, my psychoeducational program, is educate the public in our schools, in our homes, in our churches about the signs and symptoms of that horrid drug and alcohol epidemic, the epidemic that we're having in the homelessness. So I would really look hard at that program. I'm not a very tax and spend type of person, but we may have to increase the revenue a little bit with our property taxes or maybe a small percentage of our sales tax. But we're going to have to cut somewhere, and we're going to have to cut some programs. And I would look at the criminal justice system, not the sheriff department, but there's more than just the sheriff department in the criminal justice system. We can keep that. We got clerks who are working in the criminal justice system who are making warrants, who also go from making warrants to helping people get homes and help them process that paperwork there. So those are the things that I'm going to look at, and we're going to take a good hard look at it, and it's going to be a good mix between maybe some revenue increase along with making sure that the county is lean and mean with its programs that we produce.
Thank you. And Nate, same question for you. If the county had a sudden revenue shortfall for whatever reason, and let's just say in the range of $5 million, how would you approach that? Reduce services and which ones, or raise revenues and what revenue sources?
Thank you. Great question. And I would just add, law and justice does make up 75%, but that's of the general fund, not of the entire county budget. So that's of that $240 million piece. I think law enforcement is the absolute last thing that we should cut. I would not look to cut from law and justice. When I look at, if we're in a revenue shortfall, whether it's $5 million or whether it be more or less, the first thing I would look at is freezing merit pay for non-union employees. And so right now, our county revenue is increasing by about 3.5% a year. Our expenditures are increasing at about 5.3% a year. And part of the reason for that is the amount we pay in wage increases is more than the amount we're taking in from revenue. And so I would freeze that merit pay. Another thing is we have what's commonly termed as ghost FTEs. We have about 90 unfilled positions at the county that we pay for, but that certain departments don't hire. That's another thing I would look at cutting. But again, I would not consider a cut to public safety. We've had several studies through our sheriff's department and other law and justice studies that say that we're woefully understaffed, and I think that that's the last thing that we should cut. I would not be in favor of supporting a property tax increase. Since joining the council, I've consistently opposed tax and fee increases, and I would look to balance the county budget by making cuts in other areas rather than supporting tax increases.
Okay, thank you. We now turn to the point in the program where you get to ask each other a question. You have 1 minute to pose, up to a minute to pose the question, and up to a minute to answer. Nate, you get to go first with a question for Ray.
Thank you. So Ray, during our endorsement interview with the Everett Herald's editorial board, which is on the record, you responded to a question related to the county's budget, similar to the question we just heard from John Bauer and Noah Haglund. Your response, which is on the record, was that you intended to decrease the amount of money spent on law and justice-related services by 1/3, which is the equivalent of about $60 million. That number is the equivalent of over 300 sheriff's deputies. This type of massive cut to law and justice is not fiscally possible without cutting existing law enforcement officers in a department which is already understaffed. My question to you is this: do you stand by that response that you gave in the Herald interview, or have you since changed your position on this, and why?
If it's on the record, I don't think I said what I said earlier today about the criminal justice system. The criminal justice system takes 75% of our county's budget. That means for every dollar that you give, that we pay to the Snohomish County Council, to the county government, 75% goes into the criminal justice program. I did not say I would concrete. I think I did say maybe we could cut it by 50%, but I said that was not, maybe down to 50% from 75%, but that was a hypothetical. I have not have a good number yet as to what that would be. And I also remember I'm saying that maybe it's down to 65% as well, as I said during that hearing, during that meeting that we had. Maybe it's 65%. And I also said I don't know what that number would be. We need to do some studies, we need to do some planning, and we need to make sure that we do what's best for Snohomish County. So that's where I stand on that. And we're going to make sure that Snohomish County continue to be the best place to live, work, and play. And once again, that's me.
Okay, Ray, and now your turn to ask a question of Nate, up to a minute to ask the question, Nate up to a minute to respond. Ray?
All right, Nate. A recent Immigration and Customs Enforcement report has listed that the Snohomish County Sheriff Department is one of the top non-cooperating jurisdictions in the United States when it comes to detailing illegal immigrants. On August the 24th, 2017, the Department of Justice announced that the sanctuary jurisdictions will lose access to certain federal law enforcement grants in 2017 if the prohibited officials from communicating with ICE, if they block ICE from investigating all jail inmates, and if they fail to notify ICE of impending criminal aliens ICE is seeking to report. It appears that the Snohomish County, as a sanctuary county, may lose as much as $10 million in federal funding because of the changes and the ways that the Trump administration are interpreting what law. It is our understanding that you are a big supporter of Donald Trump Trump, and you are a big supporter of the action and policies of the administration that you also state that you are endorsed by the enforcement. County Sheriff Tyrnary stated that Snohomish County is in compliance with the law and that he will not release any documents or provide the requested documents to ICE without a warrant. What is your position on that, and state why and why not?
Thank you, Ray. I appreciate the question. So I've talked with our county sheriff about this at length. Snohomish County is absolutely not a sanctuary county. Sheriff Trineri has reiterated that, and I think he's reiterated that publicly in the newspaper. The issue is you have these different groups that kind of make lists of sanctuary cities and sanctuary counties with no factual basis behind them. When I've talked to the sheriff, and this has been several times, he said that we will absolutely cooperate with ICE so long as they provide a warrant. And any way that we can partner with our federal partners, the sheriff's department is absolutely willing to do that. So again, the notion that Snohomish County is a sanctuary county is false.
Okay, thank you. I want to just thank all 6 of our candidates this morning for participating and providing thoughtful answers. And at this time, I would turn it back to Chairman Dennis for the remainder of the meeting. Thank you.
Gives you a lot to think about, doesn't it? So we'll have to make some decisions here pretty quick, I believe in November, as to who we want to lead our city and our county. And I want to thank everybody for all of their input, their hard work, because I know this is not easy. I know you're out there doorbelling every day. I know you're working with the city every day. And I want to acknowledge our forum sponsor, Lance Curry with Edward Jones, even though he does have exciting socks. A little bit away from what norm is, but when it comes to financial planning, I know he's right there, and we appreciate you for being there. I want to thank our candidates again, Donna Wright, Mark James, Jeff Seibert, and Tom King for their willingness to try to make our city a better place. Thank you for being here today. I also want to thank our partners, the Tulalip Resort Casino, and for the filming of the city of Marysville and the airing of these forums on Comcast Cable 21 and Verizon Channel 25. This will also give our citizens an opportunity to help make up their minds as who they want to be our future leaders. I want to be thankful to Al for our moderator today. He did an outstanding job. And our timekeeper, again, we keep coming back to Lance Curry. And so we want to thank him. Thank you, Lance. And today's forum host, the Tulalip Casino, and the incredible staff. I'll tell you what, when you come in here for breakfast, these guys are ready and willing and able. The breakfast is always good. I want to thank Tulalip for providing that for us. Our next Business Before Hours will be Friday, October 27th. This will be a business-to-business networking event, and the theme will be Business is Sweet. And so we invite you to come and to visit with one another and network with one another so that we can support our businesses together. Also, the first annual Brew and Cider Fest will be this Friday, October 6th, from 4 to 8 p.m. Actually, a week from today, at the Marysville Opera House. If you'd like to support that and be a part of that, I know you'd have a good time. The Chamber's 3rd annual Christmas dinner and auction, called Home for the Holidays, is scheduled for Thursday, November 30th from 5 to 9 p.m. at the Tulalip Resort. We appreciate that venue for our annual Christmas dinner and auction. It's always a great time. If you like a good dinner, you like being around other people that have the same interests, please come to our Home for the Holidays dinner and auction. Thursday, November 30th from 5 to 9 at the Tulalip Resort is where that event will take place. Please stop by the showcase tables. These people pay for this so that you will be better informed about what's available for you in our city and in our county, and we appreciate all their willingness to serve that. Thank you for coming. Have a great Friday, but more than that, have a wonderful week. God bless you.